A studio is an artist's or worker's workroom, or the catch-all term for an artist and their employees who work within that studio. This can be for the purpose of acting, architecture, painting, pottery, sculpture, origami, woodworking, scrapbooking, photography, graphic design, filmmaking, animation, industrial design, radio or television production, broadcasting, or the making of music. The term is also used for the workroom of dancers, often specified to dance studio. The word studio is derived from the Italian studio, from Latin studium, from studere, meaning to study, or zeal. The French term for studio, atelier, in addition to designating an artist's studio, is used to characterize the studio of a fashion designer. Atelier also has the connotation of being the home of an alchemist or wizard. Art studio. The studio of a successful artist, especially from the 15th to the 19th centuries, characterized all the assistants. Thus the designation of paintings as from the workshop of or studio of. An art studio is sometimes called an atelier, especially in earlier eras. In contemporary English language use, atelier can also refer to the atelier method, a training method for artists that usually takes place in a professional artist's studio. The above-mentioned method calls upon that zeal for study to play a significant role in the production which occurs in a studio space. A studio is more or less artful to the degree that the artist who occupies it is committed to the continuing education in his or her formal discipline. Academic curricula categorize studio classes in order to prepare students for the rigors of building sets of skills which require a continuity of practice in order to achieve growth and mastery of their artistic expression. A versatile and creative mind will embrace the opportunity of such practice to innovate and experiment, which develops uniquely individual qualities of each artist's expression. Thus the method raises and maintains an art studio space above the level of a mere production facility, a workshop. Safety is maybe a concern in studios, with some painting materials required to be handled, stored, or used properly to prevent poisoning, chemical burns, or fire. Media related to atelier at Wikimedia Commons. Educational studio. In educational studios, students learn to develop skills related to design, ranging from architecture to product design. In specific educational studios are studio settings where large numbers of students learn to draft and design with instructional help at a college. Educational studios are colloquially referred to as studio by students, who are known for staying up late hours into the night doing projects and socializing. The studio environment is characterized by two types in education: the workspace, where students do usually visually centered work in an open environment. This time and space is beyond that of instructional time, and faculty guidance is not available. It allows for students to engage each other, help each other, and inspire each other while working. A type of class that takes the above-mentioned workshop space and recreates its core component of an open working environment. It differentiates itself based on a topic of instruction, isolated space, instructor-led, included, and an added focus of directed criticism. A great take on this latter type of studio classroom is described by Carleton University. Pottery studio. Studio pottery is made by an individual potter working on his own in his studio, rather than in a ceramics factory. Production studios. Production studios are those studios which act as centers for the production in any of the arts. Alternatively, they can also be the financial and commercial entity behind such endeavors. In radio and television, production studio is the place where programs and radio commercial and television advertising are recorded for further emission. Animation studios, like movie studios, may be production facilities, or financial entities. In some cases, especially in anime, they continue the tradition of a studio where a master, a group of talented individuals, oversee the work of lesser artists and craftspersons in realizing the vision. Animation studios are a fast-rising entity, and they include established firms such as Walt Disney, as well as new upstarts such as Pixar. Comics studio. Artists or writers, predominantly those producing comics, still employ small studios of staff to assist in the creation of a comic strip, comic book, a graphic novel. In the early days of Down Dare, Frank Hampson employed a number of staff at his studio to help with the production of the strip. Eddie Campbell is another creator who has assembled a small studio of colleagues to help him in his art, and the comic book industry of the United States has based its production methods upon the studio system employed at its beginnings. Instructional studio. Many universities are creating studio settings for courses outside the artist's realm. There are several different projects along these lines, most notably the scale-up initiated at NC State. Mastering studio. In audio, a mastering studio is a facility specialized in audio mastering. Tasks may include but not be limited to audio restoration, corrective and tone shaping, EQ, dynamic control, stereo or 5.1 surround editing, vinyl and tape transfers, vinyl cutting, and CD compilation. Depending on the quality of the original mix, the mastering engineer's role can change from small corrections to improving the overall sound of a mix drastically. Typically, studios contain a combination of high-end analog equipment with low-noise circuitry and digital hardware and plugins. Some may contain tape machines and vinyl lathes. They may also contain full-range monitoring systems and be acoustically tuned to provide an accurate reproduction of the sound information contained in the original medium. The mastering engineer must prepare the file for its intended destination, which may be radio, CD, vinyl, or digital distribution. In video production, a mastering studio is a facility specialized in the post-production of video recordings. Tasks may include but not be limited to video editing, color grading, correction, mixing, DVD authoring, and audio mastering. The mastering engineer must prepare the file for its intended destination, which may be broadcast, DVD, or digital distribution. Acting studio. An acting studio is an institution, a workspace in which actors rehearse and refine their craft. The Neighborhood Playhouse and Actors Studio are legendary acting studios in New York. Movie studio. A movie studio is a company which develops, equips and maintains a controlled environment for filmmaking. This environment may be interior, exterior, or both. Photographic studio. A photographic studio is both a workspace and a corporate body. As a workspace, it provides space to take, develop, print and duplicate photographs. Radio studio. A radio studio is a room in which a radio program or show is produced, either for live broadcast or for recording for a later broadcast. The room is soundproof to avoid unwanted noise being mixed into the broadcast. Recording studio. A recording studio is a facility for sound recording which generally consists of at least two rooms: the studio, a live room, and the control room, where the sound from the studio is recorded and manipulated. They are designed so that they have good acoustics and so that there is good isolation between the rooms. Television studio. A television studio is an installation in which television or video productions take place, for live television. for recording videotape, or for the acquisition of raw footage for post-production. The design of a studio is similar to, and derived from, movie studios, with a few amendments for the special requirements of television production. A professional television studio generally has several rooms which are kept separate for noise and practicality reasons. Yoga and martial arts studios. Many of the healing arts and activities such as yoga, judo, karate are studied in a studio. It is very common to see yoga studios and martial arts studios established in settings that might previously have been for other uses, described as studios. These are not really recreation centers, or gyms in the traditional sense, but places where students of these activities practice or study their art.